In 2017, this painting attributed to Leonardo da Vinci was sold for $450 million.
At Christie's, $400 million is the bid, and the piece is sold.
Because of this, the image traveled around the world. But what very few people know is that this painting holds a mystery that experts have been trying to solve for more than 500 years. If we look at the lower right corner of this painting, Christ holds in his hands what appears to be a crystal sphere that allows us to see through it. Additionally, inside this sphere, we can see 3 small dots that, for some reason, Leonardo included for us to see. What meaning could this mysterious object that Christ holds in his hands have? And why, after 500 years, have experts been unable to solve its meaning? According to the numerous studies that have been carried out on this painting, it is said that Leonardo da Vinci painted it around the year 1500. Its original name is Salvator Mundi, which in English translates to Savior of the World, and it is probably the most controversial painting in the entire history of modern art. In it we see Christ facing forward, dressed in blue Renaissance robes. His right hand is raised in a sign of blessing, while his left holds that mysterious, transparent crystal sphere, which at first we might think represents the celestial sphere of the heavens. His face is framed by auburn curls, and his expression is serene and impenetrable. But beyond what we see in the work, its history is as extraordinary as the painting itself. For centuries it was lost. It passed through the hands of King Charles I of England in the 17th century and then disappeared from the records completely. It resurfaced in 2005 when it was purchased at a small auction in the United States for just over $1,000, catalogued as a simple copy by a follower of Leonardo. However, after a deep restoration and years of analysis, in 2011 the National Gallery in London included it in its major Leonardo exhibition as an authentic work by the master. And finally, in 2017, it was sold at a Christie's auction in New York for $450 million, thus becoming the most expensive painting ever sold in history. But now, let us return to the mystery surrounding this painting. You may not have noticed it until now, but there is an error in the sphere Christ is holding. The first to point out this problem publicly was Walter Isaacson, the famous biographer of Leonardo, in 2017. According to his observations, Leonardo did not paint the distortion that would occur when looking through a solid crystal sphere. Let us keep in mind that if the sphere was solid crystal, the palm of Christ's hand touching it would look exactly as it is painted, but floating inside the sphere there should be a reduced and inverted image of his robes and his arm, something more or less like this. So there is something quite puzzling here. If we look closely, we can see that Leonardo painted the rest of the sphere with beautiful scientific precision. At a certain point, we can even see 3 small bright dots inside this sphere. These dots are inclusions, and they would be the small cavities that appear in natural rock crystal. There is even evidence that at that exact time, Leonardo had examined rock crystals as a favor for Isabella d'Este, one of the most powerful women in Italy. So Leonardo knew the material perfectly and painted its microscopic imperfections with total accuracy. However, by painting the sphere without distorting anything, a big question arises. How is it possible that the greatest scholar of optics of his time made such a basic mistake? The short answer to this question is that it probably was not a mistake, and the theories that attempt to explain it are fascinating. But before telling you about these theories, I would like to remind you that if you would like to have this painting in your collection, you can now purchase it from our catalogue. In the link in the description, you can discover more than 1,000 historical works so you can select your favorites and begin your own art collection at home. Shipping is free worldwide, and by purchasing from the store, you will be supporting me enormously in continuing to create videos like this every week. The first theory that could explain the alleged error Leonardo made in this painting comes from Isaacson himself. According to him, Leonardo may have omitted the distortion deliberately for a theological reason. In a way, by bypassing the natural laws of optics, Leonardo would be showing the miraculous nature of Christ and of the sphere he holds. Under this reading, the ones who would be mistaken would be us, for interpreting the sphere as earthly crystal, when in reality it should be interpreted as heaven itself in his hands. And in that sense, it would make sense that heaven does not obey the laws of physics. The second theory comes from Martin Kemp, emeritus professor at Oxford and one of the experts we have already cited in other Leonardo analyses. Curiously, Kemp states that it was precisely the sphere that convinced him the work was by Leonardo. According to him, the inclusions are painted exactly as they appear in real rock crystal. And regarding the lack of distortion, his explanation is that Renaissance painting is not a photograph. Artists of the time considered it pictorial bad taste to take optics to its final consequences. As he himself said, it would not make sense to imagine a baptism of Christ in which Jesus' legs appeared refracted by the water of the Jordan River. That would not make sense either. But the third theory is perhaps the most surprising of all. In 2019, a team of scientists from the University of California decided to solve the mystery with modern technology, creating a virtual three-dimensional model of the painting and simulating how light would pass through different types of spheres. And in this study, something quite unexpected was found. If the sphere were not solid but hollow, like a blown glass bubble with a thickness of barely 1 millimeter, the image it would produce matches exactly what Leonardo painted in this work. This way, there would be no inversion, no magnification, only minimal distortion. And there is one detail that makes this theory even more convincing. Of the 5 folds of the robe that pass behind the sphere, 4 appear perfectly sharp, but one, right at the edge, appears deliberately blurred. Exactly where a real hollow sphere would produce that distortion. So if we choose to believe this theory is the correct one, Leonardo would not have made any mistake here. Quite the opposite. He would have painted the sphere with such precision that it would have taken us 500 years to realize he was right all along. To this day, the sphere in this painting continues to generate debates among physicists, art historians, and scientists. Every new technology applied to it reveals another layer of knowledge hidden within it. And perhaps that is the answer to the mystery, that there is no error in this painting, but rather that every decision, from the microscopic inclusions to the blurred fold, was made by someone who knew exactly what he was doing. I would love for you to leave me in the comments which of the theories you find most convincing, and as always, thank you for watching the video until the end. Thank you for your support, and I will see you in the next video.